is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Believes Crypto Show, where we talk about the top 5 most pressing pieces of news in the crypto market, and then we talk about trading our cryptos, how to make money in this market, what we're doing, and hopefully we all gain a little bit out of it. Also, in the top corner right there is the Senate AG meeting. We've got it live streaming right now. When they go live, which is expected to be in about 30 minutes, when they go live, we're going to be checking it out. We're going to see exactly what happens in that crypto market structure bill. So sit back, strap on, strap in, whatever you strap. It's up to you. I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to judge you. This is not financial advice, but I'm always ready.
It's your boy Bleeves. Everybody listen up. Let's get it. I'm trying to put money in your pocket, that crypto wallet, that bing bada bing ching ching big profit. Even when the market's sideways, I'm looking for ways to get paid. I'm checking my coins around breakfast, then again around bedtime. Bet this, it's not financial advice, but I'm always right. 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 I'm always right.
All right, what is going on, everybody? We are back on our 9 o'clock schedule. Guys, didn't want to come back at 9 o'clock. I really was looking to do it in the evening, but this is too much. It's time consuming. This is the time where I feel like making content. This is the time where it's best for me to make content. So we're going to fight the good fight. We're going to fight it at 9 o'clock, and we're going to see what happens here. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button on the way in. I forgot, because I am what you would call a dum-dum, and forgot to get everything set up, because that's what I do. By the way, we have a fitness channel now. Fitness channel just launched a few moments ago. We'll see what happens over the next couple of days. Maybe it'll be fun. Maybe we'll like it. Maybe it'll be awesome. Could it be awesome? I think it's going to be awesome. Anyway, Jerome Powell has failed the American people. That's where we are right now. Jerome Powell has failed America. In every way possible that you can fail, he has absolutely failed. So let's talk about it. Let's figure out what's going on here. And we're going to copy, and we're going to paste, and we're going to drop, and we're going to move, and we're going to go to chat, and we're going to put the chat back up here, because I don't know how I messed this up so badly. There we go. All right. So we got we got Juice in the house. What is going on? We got Coin on Crypto in the house. What's going on? We've got Stephen Merck. What is going on? How is it going, folks? Latama's in the house. Next rate decision is in March. How's it going? That's what it looks like anyway. And yeah, we're permanently back, Roy, at 9 o'clock. I really did not want to do 9 o'clock in the morning. Or let me rephrase that. I actually wanted to do 9 o'clock in the morning, but there's a lot of traffic here at this time, and we're not gaining traction. That was it. And I thought maybe moving to a different time slot would do a little bit different. However, the benefit, which there really was no serious benefit to it, because the traffic at 6 p.m., everybody's eating dinner. So then it became, does it trend or something like that? And if people aren't pressing the like button, something like that, then whatever, bro. You know what I mean? So, and we'll be back to simulcasting to both YouTube and Twitter going forward in the next couple of days. So with that out of the way, let's get into the top 5 news articles. Number 1, the Fed holds rates steady, triggering a risk-off in crypto. Now, I told you yesterday or the day before to anybody who would listen that I didn't think that we were going to dump super hard on the date that they do the reveal, because it didn't make any sense that they would be probably looking to start liquidating some longs, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the question would be, would the rest of the world be risk on or risk off? And most likely they're going to be risk off. So eventually prices are going to start coming down, because we don't have a rate cut coming until March. What we do have today is some, the Senate is voting again, in just a few minutes, they're going to start the process here of the markup. Markup, by the way, is just adding the right language to this bill to start writing it up and making sure that it's worthy of a vote, if you will. So Senate AG is going to be making that vote. We're going to be seeing this piece of legislation, and we'll know exactly what it includes. And we're going to see whether or not it goes up for a vote. So that's what's happening right now. The Fed Reserve decided to keep interest rates unchanged. Two of the Fed governors voted for rate cuts. The rest voted to hold steady. Now, the two that voted for rate cuts were two that Donald Trump appointed and put in place. So the people who are working for this administration are, and by the way, the Jerome Powell was nominated by Donald Trump. But that doesn't mean that he's on the team, if you will. So that was just, remember, if you go back to the previous 2016 to 2020, when Donald Trump was originally president, one of the things that he said in an interview was, I didn't know anything about what was going on. Like, I didn't know anything about the government. I didn't know anything about all this stuff. The only thing that I knew was what my advisors were telling me. So the advisors were just not telling him the right people. So the person that he nominated was just somebody else said, hey, bro, this is a good guy, man. You should nominate him. And Donald Trump was like, I don't know who I should nominate, so okay. And by the way, that's the old guard. That's the old classic neo-Republican group. I mean, so here we are. So Ethereum now down below 3,000. We're going to talk about price in just a second here. Let me move on here. The next one up is gold. Is now $5,600. Gold ripped past $5,500 an ounce, adding roughly the entire Bitcoin market cap's worth in a single day amid a rotation into safe havens. We think that Bitcoin is going to be that safe haven asset, and it eventually will be that safe haven asset. But you also have to consider the amount of suppression that gold went through over time, the amount of suppression that silver went through over time. It takes a little while before you really get that extreme sort of value narrative start to happen. And that's what we're seeing happening right now for gold and silver, and copper is starting to move as well. But Bitcoin kind of stuck at 90,000, and that divergence, I think, is a pretty big deal because we're seeing massive runs of gold, and we're seeing not nearly as much Bitcoin accumulation, which is wild, by the way, okay? And this cannot just, it's absolutely crazy, okay? It's absolutely crazy. But in the 5-year cycle now, gold is now outperforming Bitcoin. And never thought we'd live to see that day. But it finally came back around. Now, you can also look at some of the stuff that's happened here. Gold has collapsed 84. This is since 2020. This is going into it. While gold has been stable in terms of US dollars, it lost nearly all its value in Bitcoin terms over the last 5 years. One Bitcoin now buys 16 times more gold today than it did in 2020. So that was before the gold started. That was before gold started to really, really rally. So that was an interesting. That's an interesting thing. Anything could stop on a dime and start to diverge and start to break out. So that's what we're looking for. That's what we want to see with Bitcoin. Next up, Fidelity now has a FID. This is the Fidelity Digital Dollar. Fidelity is set to launch a new stablecoin, they're referring to it as digital dollar, not stablecoin, on Ethereum, complete with freeze powers in report. This could disrupt traditional banking, with estimates that banks may lose up to $500 billion in deposits to stablecoins by 2028. It's part of a bigger push into tokenized assets and stablecoins, pressuring legacy finance. So really what you're starting to see is digital money make its way, and Fidelity, with their own stablecoin, seeks to assure their own future. So this is another example of digital assets continuing to broaden the horizons of all of these traditional bankers, et cetera, et cetera. Next up, ongoing regulatory buzz and legislative. So what we've got, again, 9:30. We've got about 19 minutes. The White House is convening Well, first we have the Senate AG that's going to be meeting, and then the White House is convening Coinbase, banks, and others to hash out a crypto market structure bill amid delays and divides on Capitol Hill. There's optimism from some senators, but fractures in the industry over bill details still persist. Meanwhile, related news includes SEC clarification on tokenized securities and UK pushes for banks to stop blocking crypto firms. The SEC came out and said that they are partnered really with the CFTC to monitor crypto, but that any tokenized asset is a security by virtue. And it doesn't matter how you convert it, any tokenized security is still a security regardless of tokenization. So it is under the SEC's purvey and not the CFTC. And what that means is basically, right now, Apple stocks, securities. Once they become tokenized, people are talking about, well, once it becomes tokenized, then it falls to the CFTC. No, the SEC clarified. Chairman Paul Atkins said that does not change anything. If it is a tokenized security, it is still a security and falls under the purvey of the SEC. So nothing has really fundamentally changed there. And then number 5, institutional Bitcoin move and fund inflow. So the ETFs, everything in the ETFs except Bitcoin had positive days yesterday. We hadn't seen that in a while. It's it's been just for a week or so. We've just had this outflow that's been happening. Now, ultimately, we're way up, right? But Signum has a new Bitcoin fund, and it pulled in $65 million from yield-seeking investors. Broad whale activity is showing accumulation of Bitcoin. However, long-term whales have given up 143,000 Bitcoin in the last 30 days. Shorter-term whales have accumulated all of it, which is why we haven't seen this incredible dip in price. We actually are seeing a dip in price right now. We're seeing the market sort of capitulate. When we started this off, we were down about $45 billion on the day. As the camera started rolling, we went down $100 billion on the day. The markets, the Dow Jones was up almost 200 points early on. Now it's underwater, and I'm seeing a bleed right now on Ethereum, a strong bleed on Ethereum right now. Actually, the entire market is bleeding super hard at this point. That's hashtag Trump. Anyway, speaking of which, Donald Trump issued this just a little while ago, said, Jerome, too late. Powell again refused to cut interest rates, even though he has absolutely no reason to keep them so high. He is hurting our country and its national security. We should have a substantially lower rate now that even this moron admits inflation is no longer a problem or threat. He is costing Americans hundreds of billions of dollars a year in totally unnecessary and uncalled for interest expense because of the vast amounts of money flowing into our country because of tariffs. We should be paying the lowest interest rate of any country in the world. Most of these countries are low interest rate paying cash machines, thought of as elegant, solid, and prime only because the USA allows them to be. The tariffs being charged to them, which brings us in billions, still allows most of them to have a significant trade surplus, though much smaller, with our beautiful, formerly abused country. In other words, I have been very nice, kind, and gentle to countries all over the world. With a mere flip of the pen, billions more would come into the USA, and these countries would have to go back to making money the old-fashioned way, not on the back of America. I hope they all appreciate, although many don't, what our great country has done for them. The Fed should substantially lower interest rates now. Tariffs have made America strong and powerful again, far stronger and more powerful than any other nation. Commensurate with this strength, both financial and otherwise, we should be paying lower interest rates than any other country in the world. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So, we got another toilet tweet. And he's basically just arguing that we should have rate cuts. And look, the fact that we don't have rate cuts is sad, but here we are. So Bitcoin yesterday had outflows in the total of, by the way, only $19 million after $147 million the day before. But the important part was Ethereum had nice inflows totaling $28 million. Solana had a big day, of 6.7 million. And you go down, you look at Solana, we really haven't had those gigantic days. This was 10% of Solana's total inflow happening in one day. If you look down here, you can see that so far, $67 million has entered the Solana ecosystem, 6.7 million in one single day yesterday. So the flows are to the positive. And for XRP, same thing, $6.9 million. It was actually down. There was one outflow day of 53 million so far, but again, 1.16 billion in capital inflows into XRP. Folks, it's only a matter of time before we start to absolutely break out and have these crazy runs. What is going on? Let's get back into chat here a little bit. Peter Schiff is creaming his Peter Schiff is probably having a good moment. Yeah, I would say that resonates. He's look, he hadn't been right for a long time, and now he is. So Dev and DEFX are great buys right now. I would agree that they are. Nothing's fundamentally changed about Dev. It's gone through a massive dip because they were supposed to do something that they didn't do. And when you do that, there's consequence. And the consequence, of course, is paid not by them, but it's paid by everybody who was an investor. So you can pick up some right now very inexpensively. And I think that would be a wise move. I think that would be a wise move. Now, my conviction hasn't really changed. My patience, not the same. So we'll see how that happens. As far as Definity goes, DEFX, if you guys don't have any Definity, guys, look, I'm not sure exactly how this is going to go. There was an announcement that they made. They're partnered with the Midnight Foundation. For those of you that don't know, that's Charles Hoskinson's new pet project. And it's privacy-based. It's a new privacy-based initiative. Now, they're going to use for money transfer, monetary transfer, Bloomsbury Money. Bloomsbury Money is Definity, DEFX. But nobody, when making the announcement, mentioned the DEFX token or anything like that, which kind of sucks, but that's the gas that runs that ecosystem. So they didn't mention it, so nobody knows about it. But here's the thing. People are going to find it over the next, here, in the next couple of months, we're going to have the Clarity Act. It'll end up going through. Once we have the Clarity Act go through, then we have to talk about the rest of it, right? The rest of it is what's going to pump the market? Well, 401ks, which Paul Atkins came out saying it's time. The Clarity Act, the Genius Act, banks continuing to mass adopt, and then we'll have a rotation of people coming back into crypto that were not in crypto before. We're going to see the crypto bros start to show back up. And when we do, Definity is going to be a gem. Now, the reason that I say it's going to be a gem is if you remember, we talked about this before. Midnight Foundation has a $1 billion market cap. Cardano has a $14 billion market cap. So we've got $15 billion worth of market cap sitting right there. Definity, in my opinion, is a powder keg getting ready to explode. It's just a matter of time at this point. So I do think that there's going to be a nice and significant run. So we'll see what happens. Next up, Fear and Greed Index has dipped a little bit more. Yesterday was 29, back down to 26. Again, this is just accumulate and fingers crossed, hope for the best. You know what I mean? Like that's about all you can do right now. Remember these ghouls, these goblins, these bad people, these horrible monstrosities. I'm sorry, did I call them horrible monstrosities? What I meant to say was institutions that have a lot of money. That's what I meant to say. They hate you. They absolutely hate your prosperity. Okay, because your prosperity affects their prosperity. So they're trying to take from you. They want you to be broke and poor, and they want you renting. Remember, BlackRock was buying up all the houses a couple years ago. So they want you broke. They want you paying them money. They want They want everything from you. Okay, that's it. They want everything from you. Listen. I'm not one of those conspiracy guys, but if they could turn this into the Matrix, don't think for a second that it wouldn't already be that way. Maybe it already is. Who the hell knows? I know it's not, but still, you get my point. Liquidity is still building up towards the top. Like you can see it right now. Now it does look like there's a move down here to get into that 87,000 range. Let me show. Let me refresh here. Look at this right here. There's this little pocket right there. Let's see how far down it went when we hit this refresh. Went straight through all of the liquidity right there, going down into that 85,000 range. Now it's time for that big reversal. So the question somebody asked me the other day was it going to be 100,000 or 80,000 first? Well, it looks like 80,000 is going to be first, maybe even less. I mean, you never know. You never know. The problem with this is that once you've cleaned this out, then you have to keep going after the money. And if you're going to keep going after the money, go back to a week right here, and we look right there. You can see how much they really, look at that. It just extracted everything that was highlighted all the way down to this little range right there at 85,000. Just got extracted just a few moments ago. Now, when we take it to a tiny bit longer of a frame, then we start to see money pooling up near the top. And there we go, right in that 93,000, right in that 93,000 range where there is a CME futures gap is where the big pocket right now resides. So that move right there, I think, is coming very, very soon. So we'll see what happens there. All chains total value locked. If you look at this, we're still just hovering around $8 billion, not even getting close. Like, it's just not, we're not getting anything out of that at this point. So, and then finally, let's talk trading. So we're down $126 billion right now. Massive sell-off, massive Jane Street movement. I'm sorry, massive sell-off. That's what I meant to say. But these are market makers. They're still crushing the market. They're extracting as much they're extracting as much money as they can out of this market so that they can buy these dips. They want to shake you out. Here's what's happening. Okay, these guys are dumping huge amounts of crypto into the market. That's scaring people. That's causing them to sell. And then what they're doing is they're setting a spot in order to come down and buy that dip. Now that dip came down to 2.85 trillion just a fefew moments ago, and it's now back up to 2.87 trillion as some of this buyback starts to happen. The Dow Jones, on the other hand, which was it's down a few percentage points on the day. If you look at it on the hourly, look at that. That it had a big surge up to 49,291. That's 300 points. So it was up 250 at one point. So we're not seeing the market breaking down. And by the way, when somebody says, oh, the Dow Jones is peeling losses, zoom out. Zoom out. By the way, I told you a few months ago that 49,000 right here was going to be the spot. Took a few more months, but guess what? Can't make this up, guys. So, we'll remove that. Now, what does that mean? Like, we're hovering near the all-time high. So, we'll see what happens. Bitcoin right now, 85,000. Look at what's happening over the last hour. These are the people that you entrust with your money every single day. These are the market makers, the movers and shakers. So, what are we looking at right now? Well, we're going to go back to the daily in order to make that assertion here. But we've broken down, and if we've broken down here and we cannot get back above, and by the way, yesterday we got back up into this channel, so we're not out yet. But the flow, that flow is continuing in the negative, so we're in wait and see mode. If we cannot get back into this range and start to show this progress, if we can't get this back in here and a move back up here, confidence gets shattered. Okay, the real consequence of what is going on right now is that people who are normal investors are just saying, well, you know what, it's going to go down, I'm going to sell, I'm going to either cut my losses or I'm going to take my profit, and then I'm just going to wait. That puts people on the sidelines. When people are on the sidelines, that means no new buyers are stepping in because they're on the sidelines, and that means that the bears can continue to dump and take their profit along the way and dip the price, and that's what's happening right now. So that's what we're witnessing. So we're going to find out pretty soon today whether or not we're going to get any sort of positivity out of it. But you can see Ethereum down to 2,800. Like, it's not going good at all for the day. Prices we haven't seen in like 2 or 3 days. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ, unbelievable. Can't believe it's so low. However, look at this right here. All of the gains that we've had over the last 1, 2, 3 days just got eaten up, but we didn't mint a lower low yet. That's still a higher low. Remember I said this right here, this right here, this right here, this right here. They're all a little bit higher. And what I mean was this right here, this one right here, this one right here. Can't even click that one. But looking at it, low, a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher. So far, a little bit higher. That is a bullish setup for movement to the top side. Now, that top side is declining. So, again, I think 3,400 is going to be the safe move. But if this is where you want to, this is where you want to accumulate. By the way, this is where you take your chance. If you are right now on the sidelines right now, go to KCEX right now. You're on support. So if you want to go long, this right here, this is the time to do it, because the next logical move is going to be that move right there and a big break above. Now, if it does not, then we're going to have to start talking about where's it going to go after this. And the answer to that is probably going to be wherever the biggest amount of volume is. We're going to zoom out just a little bit, and we're going to try to find a volume area, and it's going to be right there in that range. So what we'd be looking at for a move to the downside is going to be right there. All right, let's remove our volume flow. So you have a choice here. Your choice is, are we going to this area or this area next? And by the way, I shouldn't say that area. I should say this area next until we break out above. So the question right now is, you're at 2,800 on Ethereum. You went down to 2,820 roughly. And now the options are break down to 2626 or a push ahead and forward back up into that 32 to 3,400 range. So that's what we're playing with right now. So that's what Ethereum is looking like. Solana, same thing. And I'm going to assume that we'll probably find a little bit of a region right there. If we did the same thing and we zoom out just a little bit, we're going to try to find a spot right there, and this spot actually right 107. So that spot, we don't even need volume for that one. So this is the same thing right now. 105, 106, basically 106. So your question right now is 146 or 106 on Solana. If you think that it's going to be 146, then this is a perfect entry point. Now, when we do this, let's also point that we have broken down just a little bit, so we can't just say that this one is perfect. We have to, let's move this down just a little bit right here. And if you look at it from that context, we draw it down just a little bit more so that we're connecting 3 data points, 4 data points, but it's this right here with these right here. There's a couple of them right up there. So that seems to be strong bounce area. Now, question is, will it continue to be a strong bounce? What we got was, we got this right here, and then within days, we had a strong correction, but we came back down. Then from this, we had this move back up to 126. Then we had a break back down to this range. So the question is, will it break out? Now, if we go back and we look at it again from the same sort of standpoint, give it a couple days variance. We had the dip, then we had another dip, then we had an explosive move. So we had a dip, then we had another dip. Now do we have an explosive move? That's the question that you need to ask yourself right now. So where do we go? We go either here or here. So you decide what it is that you think is going to happen. Looks like that Senate AG meeting should be in like 1 minute. So up on the top of the screen, we should see something change right there where it says business meeting. I'm not sure if I got that exactly right. But it does say that, you know what, we should probably, 1920. I'm going to change the size of that so that we can see that a little bit better. Boy, I don't have a spot for it. Okay, well, let's do this. We'll make it smaller. And we'll just leave it right up there. That way we can see a little bit more of the screen. So when we see some activity on that screen up there, we will know that the Senate AG is now live and that they are now doing something. All right, chat, what is going on here? You know anything about Dev? Their weekly roundup died. Did they all die? No, they did not die. What they did was they partnered. Now, they had a sister corporation called DevStream. DevStream is a carbon credit company listed on NASDAQ. They agreed to buy $1 million worth of Dev in a vested contract, which was going to be what Dev needed to continue funding itself for the year 2026. And then in 2026, they were going to buy another million. And then 2027, they were going to buy another million. Well, then in the meantime, DevStream is being bought out by 2 other companies. Those 2 other companies were like, no, we're not making those buys. We're not buying a $10 million market cap crypto. We're not spending $1 million on a $10 million crypto. They didn't see it as a fiscally responsible move. So Dev's parent or Dev's sister company backed out of the deal because of the new people. So, and by the way, just so you guys understand, I'm not an insider and I can't tell you how I know some of these things, but they've raised a lot of money, so they're fine. Ultimately they're fine. All right. But they needed to do some financing and refinancing because that was just some easy money that they were going to come into and allow them to finish all of their projects, pay all of their people, continue the development. And listen, the way that this works is very, very simple. This is a multi-billion-dollar potential franchise. And you might be asking yourself, well, if that's the case, why does it have a $10 million market cap? Well, the answer to that is actually very, very simple. They have a $10 million market cap because traditional finance doesn't care about tokenization for some random token or coin. They don't. That's not their thing. They care about your ability to perform services and functions and utilities for them. And that's what matters. So when you look at it and you say that, let's just say again, the partner's NASDAQ. Well, NASDAQ doesn't care what your token is. They don't care about any of that. What they care about is, can you perform the services that they're hiring you and paying you to perform? And the answer to that is yes. So they're good as far as I understand. Now, they could not be good at some point in the future. Like maybe I got this all wrong. I don't think so. I really don't think so. But I mean, there's risk involved with everything. Now, if you hear Ray Quintana talk about it, not worried at all. If you hear Tom Anderson, he's worried about everything. He's worried about every single thing, every single time, every single moment of the day, and it continues, it continues, it continues. He's a worrywart, if you will. So, you might see, you might have some question in that regard. So, I guess that's all I'll say about that. XRP, again, same dip, same pop. We're at the bottom of the range right now. I'm still expecting a move to the top of the range. Link is broken down far below its last support line right there, which means that we now need to start looking at Link as where is it going to go next? And the answer to that would appear to be $10. So it looks like $10 is right there. 9999, right? To the data points are right there. Okay, so somewhere around $10, $9.90, $10 seems to be where we're headed next for. That light's a little bit. I'm going to turn that down just a little bit. So it seems to be $10 that Link is headed to. Tau is doing the same thing that everybody else is doing right now, breaking back down to the bottom of the range. Last time I hit the bottom of the range, ran back up to the top of the range at 300. Again, I see the same thing get ready to happen because it's taking a little bit longer than our expectation. Then maybe the result's going to end up being a little bit higher, but I would suspect $300 is probably where it's going to kind of bounce, unless we get a nice little rip. And we get a nice little rip, and you never know how high it's going to go. We're guessing what these ranges are, but if you were to say, well, let's do the pivot and let's do the Fibonacci right here, and where are we going next? And you look at that purple line right there, 786 is at $281. So the natural sequence of events is if we dip down. And by the way, we're doing a reverse Fibonacci right here, and we did not get it right. We should do that right there. All right, so Fibonacci breakdown all the way. Now the reversal goes to the 0.5 or the 0.618, works in reverse too, which means somewhere between 260 and 270 is the quick target for BitTensor. If there's a strong narrative, then 285. And then if it breaks out, back to $300. So Fibonacci tells us that we are very, very close to a potential breakout again by Tau. We don't know for sure. I mean, you never know. The market is the market, and we're down 130 billion right now. Dow Jones now down 300 points on the day. Gold. Ooh, it's all happening right now. It's all happening right now. We're going to get there in just a second. ICP, same thing, broke down to the bottom of the range. I say that's a great opportunity for accumulation. However, I bought my long at 320, and I'm at 304, 303 right now. So it's down 5%. If there's a rebound, we're going to see a strong rebound. If there's not, then we're just going to be cooked for a few bucks there. Avalanche is at $11 again. Same thing with the rest of them. We're going to be labor at this point. So that's what's happening. Near Protocol, $1.37. Ondo, down another 10%. Pendle, down another 7%. SWE, down another 8%. Dev, down another 3%. Definity. Definity's had a couple of little pump days, but again, there'll be a breakout moment coming very, very soon. The reason there'll be a breakout moment coming very soon is this right here, Night. This is their partner, the Midnight Project, and it's sitting at $1 billion market cap. Sitting at $1 billion market cap. If you were to tell me that if this were a meme coin, by the way, if this were a meme coin right now, you would be looking at this. So I'm assuming that that's probably what's going to happen with this one too. And that means that there'll be some discovery over there. Also, Cardano, same thing. Let's remove this range because we are now breaking down below that one greatly. This was our little range right there. Not playing out at all. We are back down to numbers that we haven't seen since 2024. All the gains that we got on Cardano ended up being for naught. And by the way, if you remember, when it came down here and you were at about 30 cents and you were like, oh, it's dead, and then it goes up to $1.31, you get a nice little 4x off of it. If you didn't take your profit, I mean, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Cardano was 4 times higher a year ago. Okay, so it's going to happen again. Aerodrome broke down to the bottom of its range too. Again, everything is a setup at this point. Like everything looks like it's being set up for an explosive recovery right now. Going down the list, Luna Classic still hitting its support line. Fiat is still a little bit. You know what? Fiat did dip down. Son of a bitch. Buy Fiat. I would buy some Fiat right now. All right, so here we go. This is what happened with gold. Look at that. Gold went up to 5,600 and is now broken down all the way to currently at 5,200, which, by the way, a pretty big price. But it broke down to 5,101 as people started to sell off and take profit along the way. Question is, will it continue on? And, based on the number of moves here, that's a parabolic run for gold. That's a parabolic run for gold. Silver, even more, but you're starting to see that one start to wane. And by the way, if you look at it from, pivot, you've got the big move here, you've got the little correction, you've got the little correction, you've got the little correction. Like we've had enough of these little corrections that we should be at the end of this run. Like we should not be where we are right now. Bang. Bang. Now, it would make sense. It would make perfect sense to see a move right now down into $76 to $80. Like it would not be. That's the way that it looks right now. Anyway, but continuing on. Aster's down 8%. CFX down 7.5%. Pepe's down 6.5%. Ohm is down 7.5%. Zcash down 5%. Ether is down 10%. Avantis down 10%. What do we have in double digits here? XCL is down another 12%. Celestia is down another 11%. Seeker. Somebody asked me about Seeker the other day. Amit, I think it was. Amit asked me about Seeker the other day, and I said it's going to collapse. It's going to continue to dump. I don't remember what I told him. I said maybe 2 cents or something like that you're going to get that. Or maybe it was 1. Yeah, 1 cent. That it's going to come down to a penny. Almost there. If you like the project, by the way, that's by the way, we're down $150 billion. The market is absolutely dumping. So this might be it, guys. This might be it. As far as the Senate AG is, let's go to the crypto market structure bill, and let's look one more time and see if maybe I didn't get, I didn't do it right. Business meeting right here, 10:30 a.m.
Have taken it very seriously.
Oh, here we go.
I'm very grateful for a lot of the folks on this side of the table who have really leaned in to master some complex issues.
Senator Cory
Look,
Booker.
we are in a point in American history that is exciting. It should excite everybody in our country. Digital assets and the ecosystem of innovation around financial services, blockchain technology, and decentralization that surrounds them is already a $3 trillion market, a figure that represents millions of customers. It represents thousands and thousands of tech jobs, startups, small businesses across the country. We are seeing an innovation explosion going on because
Booker,
of
by the way,
blockchain technology.
pro-crypto.
This should excite everyone. What I and so many of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle see is that we are standing on the cusp of extraordinary humanity-changing breakthroughs that could give Americans a financial system that is faster, cheaper, and more inclusive. I have seen in my own community that the system we have right now often screws customers, hurts their ability to access financial markets. There is a democratizing force, or at least potential, that is moving across our country and across the world. And that's why in September, 12 Senate Democrats came together to say, we want a market structure bill. Because if we don't get market structure, the threats from around the world could actually make this light and possibility darkness and something we would regret.
Can you guys hear that, by the way? Can you guys hear Cory Booker speaking?
What we needed to get there. It's why we have negotiated in good faith to get this bill done in this committee, through this committee. Senator Boozman and I have worked so closely together and productively. And in November, we were able to put together a bipartisan discussion draft, something I am so proud of. One of my better experiences in the Senate was getting this draft done and really putting together principles that have nothing to do with left and right, but principles that we could stand on with integrity. I believe that this could get the bipartisan support on the floor. In our joint press release, we said our bipartisan discussion draft included, and it's important to quote here, we said a clear definition of digital commodities and the establishment of a spot market digital commodity regulatory regime within the CFTC. We said together that we want robust consumer protections, including customer customer fund segregation requirements, conflicts of interest safeguards, appropriate customer disclosure requirements, and prohibitions on certain affiliated trading. We also said we want a trading registration regime designed to facilitate liquid and resilient regulated markets while, very important, protecting retail participants. We also said we want requirements for the CFTC and the SEC to coordinate and collaborate on necessary interagency rulemakings that this new area of technology demands. We also said, very importantly, we want protections for self-custody and innovative technology. We do not want to be criminalizing people who are writing code. And we said a new funding stream for the CFTC to stand up a spot market regulatory regime. The CFTC does not have the resources to do all that this committee is asking. And so I was excited. I went into the holidays. I got married. I had fun. It was extraordinary. And I came back to this committee, TMI? TMI, I'm sorry. I was so excited I almost drank milk in the committee too. But then I come back to Washington and start the year with the news that my Republican colleagues were walking away from the bipartisan process that produced the draft, and was also walking away from a lot of the very things that I read in the policy framework that held our agreement together. To be clear, The product before us today is not the bipartisan draft that we're working on. It was negotiated with two parties at the table, but it isn't in accord with the principles we laid out in November in a bipartisan way. However, despite this, I still deeply believe in the work that we've done. We've come so long. In football parlance, I don't know if you know anything about this, Senator Tuberville, but in football parlance, we moved from our own goal line all the way down 70 yards. We're almost in the red zone on this bill. And that frustrates me because I see a bipartisan glide path to land this plane, to punch through the end zone, and I hope Senator Tuberville and I can do an end zone dance together. But what divides us here isn't some fundamental disagreement on both sides. It really isn't. This is not some kind of regular Washington partisanship. We've got this short distance with a clear path forward. This path is, just like we did last year, for us to sit at a table and close out the remaining issues. In the time since pens have been down on the product that's before us today, I've continued working. I sat with stakeholders literally last night. We were clearing up some of the DeFi differences that are not reflected in this bill. We got stakeholder accord last night. To resolve these outstanding issues, we continue to narrow the gap. I'm at the negotiating table, and I'm working with some of the most interested stakeholders in finalizing what the short strokes, sorry to mix my metaphor, but in the short strokes, we're on the green. This isn't about partisan politics. This is about the process that we begin to heal and redeem Washington. This should be something we stay together and work together until we get it over the line, because I know this from Senator Boozman, who I also talked to yesterday. There's so much good faith here. I think Senator Boozman, Leader Thune, and then Chair Stabenow showed in 2022, when we introduced our first crypto bill together, that we could do great things. But right now, our inability to work together and move together in this final process is undermining our ability to get it done. I would be remiss before I conclude my remarks to just say, the White House has made this infinitely harder. And I've had private conversations with Republican colleagues, staffers, that agree with me. First of all, the fact that Donald Trump is grifting on crypto himself, it's like me creating a Corey coin. I'd probably prefer a Klobuchar coin. But this is ridiculous that the President of the United States and his family have made billions of dollars off of this industry and are still trying to create a framework here without the kind of ethics that would prevent this kind of gross corruption in our country that would undermine our nation's democracy. And then second, it's outrageous that we've seen in the last year an attack on independent agencies. How could we not have at the CFTC Democratic members at a time that we're doing this important work? So I'm just gonna say right now, I've had one of the best experiences I've had in my 12 years in Washington working with Senator Boozman. Truly a good man, as we all know around this table. I'm simply asking, let's get back to work. We can finish this in the next week or two in a bipartisan way, have a celebration. I may drink some milk, soy, and we can dance in the end zone when we get this across the line. That's what I'm asking. But until then, we can't support.
All right. So basically what Cory Booker is saying is sounding like all the right things, that he's in solidarity and support of this crypto market structure bill. But if you were listening in between the lines, what he was saying is that the White House doesn't want to help them, that the White House is a problem, that all of these different pieces that are problems, but not the Democrats. What do the Democrats want to do? Remember when we talked about the crypto market structure bill, they effectively wanted to kill DeFi. That's what they were looking to do. They wanted to stop meme coins. They wanted to stop some of the early problems, I guess. You know, like trying to establish, is running a DEX. Remember, meme coins all had a DEX at one point. Saitama had a DEX. Volt had a DEX. Saitanobi had a DEX. Everybody had a DEX, right? Well, is that a utility? Not according to every one of those projects, because all those projects were just kind of smushed because it doesn't generate enough revenue. What about a video game? Every one of these projects came out with a video game too. They all had video games. And what did the video games do? It allowed you to maybe earn a little bit of crypto by winning. It gave you an opportunity to maybe risk some of your crypto and earn some more stuff like that. And guess what? There's no revenue being produced. So therefore, all it's doing is becoming a liquidity extraction. That's not good. That's not good at all. So I think what they're trying to do is limit those kind of things. But, that's effectively killing DeFi. So what Cory Booker is really saying right now is wink, wink, nod, nod. It's more important to us to stop the president from having a meme coin than it is to make sure that you are safe. But what we're going to do is we're going to tell you that we're looking out for you, because you guys are cool. Everybody in the White House is bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's a disingenuous way of doing it. So, I don't know. Crypto Brian says, expect to go to 80 at some point. Yeah. Was there any update on HyperSui? Not that I'm aware of. I haven't seen anything right there. Anyway, that's going to be the show. Thank you so much for coming back at 9 a.m. I appreciate you guys. We're going to stick to this slot. We're going to try to build on this one. It's not financial advice. I'm always right. Guys, be very, very careful today. This market is trying to bleed you dry. It is trying to suck the liquidity out. I don't know what that means for the market. It should be noted, however, gold is tanking. Well, hard to say tanking. Silver, same thing. We're starting to see drops from that top. We don't know if this is a correction or if this is the actual switch being flipped. I don't think so, because if gold added crypto's market cap in the last 24 hours, that could rotate into Bitcoin's market cap. Then it could rotate into Bitcoin at any moment. I don't know that it will, but I don't know that it won't either. So be very careful. Assess your risk. Be very, very